Ladies and gentlemen, please take a seat so that we can begin. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats so that we can begin. Good evening. Welcome to Writers Boot Camp. My name is Mike Brennan. I'm the membership director here at Writers Boot Camp, and we are always glad to be working with NATPE, and I'm very happy to be able to host this evening's presentation. We're awfully glad that you could join us. Just a couple of quick notes about Writers Boot Camp for those of you who don't know, and then I'm going to turn everything over to the program that NATPE has presented for you tonight. Writers Boot Camp is in its 20th year now, training film and television writers. And we have classes here in New York and online, working with writers around the world. In the time that we've been training writers, our alumni have won or been nominated for Academy Awards, Golden Globes, Emmys, WGA Awards, and even last year won a Tony Award for Best Book for a Musical for Spring Awakening. And the person who won was competing against another Writers Boot Camp alum that year. So we've had a tremendous impact on an awful lot of writers. There is no magic wand. It doesn't happen automatically. Just taking classes doesn't make everybody a success. But we teach a process that allows writers to focus on what's unique about their project, make the most of it, do the work, learn the tools that they'll be able to repeat for the rest of their career, and then go on to tremendous success. The last time we added it up, our alumni have written screenplays that have brought in close to $750 million in box office and have created or been staffed on close to 100 different television shows. So if you know anyone who's interested in writing, this is where they should be. They should at least be looking into what we do. On the other side, we also started something this year called the Business Breakfast, which is really not so much about the craft of writing, but what happens with your writing and where the jobs are and where the industry's going. Every other Wednesday morning from February through October, we do a business breakfast where we bring in one guest speaker who's specializing in a different area of the industry. And it's a very informal but very communal, great experience first thing in the morning. And all of you will actually have the opportunity to wind up being on the list to attend those if you're interested. At some point, you'll be getting a thank you from us for attending tonight. And if you're interested, let us know, and we'll keep you on the business breakfast list. So if you have any questions at all about anything we do here at Writers Boot Camp, check out the website, writersbootcamp.com. Pick up one of my business cards, which will be right over here on this table on your way out, or just give us a call sometime. So without any further ado, I'd like to turn this over now to the Vice President, who is here to help you take this further into the evening. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Denise O'Connor.
Thank you. Thank you for coming this evening, and we're thrilled to be having the event here at the Writers Boot Camp. So quickly, I just want to thank HPNB and the Dream Screen for partnering with us. And if you haven't checked out the new computers, they're amazing. And stay around for the Q&A because we're going to be giving one away, or actually two things away. But I also want to thank Chicago Convergence, which John will speak about, which is a terrific organization that really promotes innovation. But I want to make one small plug here for NATPE. We're thrilled everyone's here. We want to see all of you at the conference at the end of January, the 25th through the 27th. It's an opportunity to connect with industry executives from around the world, whether you're in content, distribution, or an application that helps people to distribute or create. So without further ado, I want to introduce John from Chicago Convergence.
Thank you. Okay, I think I'm the last person, right? You'll have to listen to before the content. So my name is John Patterson. I'm an entrepreneur and I'm an independent producer. I'm the founder of the Chicago Convergence. The Chicago Convergence is a Chicago consortium. It's really two things. One, it is a group of select presenters and companies that get together annually to share ideas. And secondly, it's a resource for people who are interested in innovations in technologies, digital technologies, entertainment, and design. And so that's what we are. We are also working with the coasts to showcase the Midwest and connect and ally with the coasts. There's a couple of things that I need to tell you. First of all, if you will check your cell phone and make sure your cell phone is off, we're doing a live streaming event, so if you just make sure that that's off. And then secondly, we also have a sponsor we want to make sure that you're aware of, which is the drink sponsor, the important sponsor here this evening, which is also, I have to say this correctly, Penca Azul Tequila. And then tonight's event is being, yes, yes. And then tonight's event is being streamed live by Stickham. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to the moderator for this evening, David Bloom.
Glad to see you guys all made it out here. I hope this thing works. And I'll reiterate, turn this thing on to airplane mode or off, just because I'm easily distracted and I've had tequila in me now, so I can't be responsible for the actions that occur if the phone goes off and you haven't turned it off. So you've been warned. I have a pretty fabulous panel here. I'm pretty darn excited about it. Unfortunately, one of our panelists had to duck out the last minute, the fellow from Reveille, but we have an equally distinguished and handsome fellow filling in for him. He's second from my right, but I'm going to let each of these guys introduce themselves. What's great about this panel is they kind of, as we chatted about a little bit, we really have a little bit of an ecology, an ecosphere of the opportunities to create, wrap revenue around it, and push out content on multiple platforms. And these guys can talk about it from multiple perspectives, and I think that they will give you guys a little bit of a perspective on what's out there, what the opportunities are. We're going to talk for about 45 minutes, and then we're going to go to questions, and I'm sure those will be fabulous too. So let's start right here.
My name is Brady Brim-DeForest. Oh, talk right into the mic. Brady Brim-DeForest. I run a company called Tube Filter. We're a diversified media company in the online entertainment space. We operate the Streamy Awards, which are the only live envelope opening award show for our online entertainment, as well as Tube Filter News, which is a industry trade for the web television space. We also have a research division that covers web television and the web series world as well.
I'm Van Vandegrift from Matrix.
Speak into your mic. Better.
I feel like I should be like a rap star. All right.
You kind of look like one.
Wake up!
You're going to look good in the hammer pants. That's all I see.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm far too young to get that reference.
You forgot the 80s, I can tell.
No idea.
In the tequila, right?
More, please. Our company's called Matrix. We're actually here in Santa Monica. We started as a television production company, and over the past 5 years, we've done a lot of media stuff. So we're kind of more of a branded entertainment company now, with working very closely with other folks like this, distribution, other production companies, and doing things in the web space, mobile space, and so we can talk a little bit of some of those examples. I'll share some of those for you.
My name is Stephen Amato, company called...
Speak into your mic.
I'm deeply sorry. Stephen Amato, company is called Omelets. We are located also in Los Angeles, the Wiltern Theater Building. We're a 5-year-old company. We do branding, advertising, and entertainment. We create what we call marketing formats, which is around an original piece of entertainment. We create all the marketing channels as well. So like an entertainment format, we create not just an entertainment format, but all the marketing around it. So Some of our clients are networks as well as brands. So.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jonathan Small. I am the VP Editorial Director of a company called Break Media. Break Media is a online entertainment destination for guys 18 to 34 years old. Our flagship site is a site called break.com, which is ComScore's #1 humor site, actually the most trafficked humor site on the internet right now. And we also, I oversee that site and 8 other break-owned websites that are all targeted at guys, you know, from mixed martial arts sites we call Cage Potato to a movie site called ScreenJunkies.com. So we have a lot of our overall reach is about 70 million people a month. And I also oversee something called the Creative Lab, which is our in-house production company, which is about 15 people strong, and we do original and branded content for Break.
So the canny among you will notice that what we have, as I said, is this sort of entire ecology. We've got people like Van who create the content. We've got folks who wrap revenue in terms of branded sponsorships and the like around it. We've got a network that will show it, and we got an awards guy who will give you an award for being really smart and doing it well. So we got it all the bases covered here. So let's start out, because it's a really interesting time, I think. A lot of rules are being sort of blown up or rewritten. It's kind of hard to figure out how you make money, but then there's opportunities, I think, for particularly the indie producer who doesn't have a ton of overhead and is open to trying new things to make some neat stuff happen. We've got all kinds of platforms out there, whether it's mobile or online, as well as traditional things like cable and broadcast and the rest. I guess what I want to start out with is talk to me a little bit about what your favorite platform is to produce for and why you like it. What's good about the thing where you live, and then also the challenges of taking stuff from there to another platform, because this is about multiple platforms. It's not about starting in one place and staying there. It's about starting in one place and seeing where else you can take it. So talk to me a little bit about that.
I personally think it's all about intellectual property. So, a show, whether it's on television, cable, or broadcast, or on the internet, or it's distributed over mobile, ultimately it comes down to, are you telling a story that's compelling, and is there an audience for that story? I live 99% of my life online, and so
this is the other 0.1%, by the way. So enjoy it while you can.
We're online right now.
We're online right now.
Well, that's true, and I take it back.
Me? Oh, sure. Sorry about that.
If anybody else can't hear, I'll try and bellow, and I'm pretty good at that, but some of these other guys are more low-key than I am.
It's true. So I was saying that it's all about intellectual property. So a show, whether it's distributed on television or online or on mobile, it comes down to the story. Can you tell a story that's compelling, and can you aggregate an audience around that story? And that's ultimately what I think the future of entertainment is all about. There are literally unlimited number of endpoints and distribution points that you can tap into, and really depends on what audience you want to reach. The difference now, in this world that we live in compared to 15 or 20 years ago, is that there's a real power around building niche audiences, and you can actually aggregate 10 million people around a very, what have used to have been kind of a hobby, if you will, and you can actually take those people, and they're going to be dispersed across the entire world, and you can create content that they care about. And when you have 10 million eyeballs, even if that's your total market size for a particular show, that's really valuable, and you're going to have a brand or an advertiser that wants to reach that specific niche, and you can do that today, whereas you can't with television in the same way.
So it's really important to be highly focused, it sounds like, from your point of view. Okay. And the challenge of taking that to another platform, I know you guys are really focused on broadband. You're big champions of that. But just say you had a good IP, you did a great job, you hit a home run, you got 2 million subs or 2 million pairs of eyeballs. Where would you go with it?
It's a great question. I mean, feel free
You'd
to
probably call Van up and say, help me, right?
Feel free to jump in at any point, guys. But
where someone will pay you for it is the answer.
Totally.
And now it's there's more places than ever. There's still not a lot of dollars out there in some of these new things that everybody talks about, But if you've got 2 million, you've got yourself a hit. You want to exploit that every way you can.
By the way, 2 million sets of eyeballs is better than CNN. Not that that's saying a whole lot, but it's like you're kicking CNN's butt. So I mean,
and there's some web series like Fred and stuff doing those kind of numbers, which is a USA kind of number. You can do those numbers, and the model that on the traditional side. In January, at the end of the month, you'll see, in NATPE exploiting those formats internationally. It's the same kind of game. It's just exploiting them on every place you can go now, mobile and little mini episodes and teaser content and video pre-roll. I mean, anything that you can do to experiment with. Everybody sort of trying to figure out what connects, what gets you from 2 million to 3 million, or get you 2 million other people that have never seen it. So now you got 4 million. And then from the advertiser point of view, get their information in front of that audience where it doesn't, isn't so blatantly an ad. So it really becomes something that's more valuable to them, entertaining to them, educational to them. If it's a recipe and it's a food brand or whatever it is, it means more when it connects with that audience, and you can do that much better. With these kind of broadband and new media models.
So you like starting on the new on the broadband and then kind of going, because to be clear, you've played in a lot of different spaces. I mean, you guys had a piece of Planet 51, the animated show that came out, movie that came out about 10 days ago. You guys were involved, I think, in a video game and an online presence and some other stuff. You guys do a lot of you guys are in a lot of platforms. So what's your fave?
It's not because we necessarily just like new stuff. That's cool, but it's about exploring where the dollars can be. So if this property naturally sets itself, like an animated situation sets itself up for a video game, and that could have a little video vignette piece on mobile, and you could do an MMOG.
It's a massively multiplayer online game, for the people who don't speak.
Yeah, which is a whole nother way, which is World of Warcraft kind of stuff, where you can get somebody in a subscription-based model to pay X amount of dollars per month to play with your content or be immersed in your content, or virtual goods where they're paying 49 cents to put on the coolest sneakers and run around in your world. I mean, those are just things that we haven't necessarily sought out. We just had to, or we hadn't gone into it thinking, wow, it'd be cool if we did this. It's be like, well, maybe there's some dollars here, maybe some dollars there. And not to be like, we're just after the dollars. It's you need that fuel to take your next creative idea and come up with it. Otherwise, you're sitting around and it's sort of a hobby and not a job.
It's a jobby.
I think it's the major difference today is that independent content creators like yourselves actually can create IP that they own. In the television world, and not to disparage television at all, but if
go ahead.
If you're a showrunner, or you've created a show and you take it to a network, the network's going to own that show, and unless you're
John Wells,
exactly, or maybe a Joss Whedon, possibly, it's going to be hard to negotiate rights for
Dollhouse.
Yeah, yeah, true. Or most of all of his shows that get canceled,
yes.
Which is a funny thing because he makes amazing shows, but. You can actually, in this world, the cost of distribution is so cheap relatively to what it was in the television world. You can own your content outright, and you can exploit it in all of these different ways. That means you can go into merchandising. You can take that show to television, and that's a very powerful position to be in. And it really, it's a creator-centric world now, and that's it's mind-boggling if you know how to create content that people care about. And you're savvy enough to learn how to exploit it for yourself, you can actually, really truly build a little empire, kind of like George Lucas did with Star Wars.
A small empire like George. Think big. Steve, you guys, as this sort of new model army of interactive marketing and so on and so forth, play in a lot of spaces as well. Where do you like to start? Where's the money from your all's perspective in terms of branded entertainment? Where's the opportunity right now? Somebody sitting out there has got a little piece of content that they're an IP that they like to do something with. You want to be able to wrap something around it. What would they want to talk to you about, and where would they go with that?
Well, to be honest, we start a lot with solving a brand's business problem with a strategy, and literally our whole philosophy is the idea leads the medium, as opposed to having a favorite. We might just do an iPhone application, or we might just do a television show, whatever we think is going to sell more products for our clients. And
so you're about shaping the IP goes, it dictates where you go.
Absolutely. And our model at Omelet is 50% work for hire, branding and advertising, and 50% IP ownership and creation. So we do both. So we're either creating an IP and then using the same strategic approach to getting it into the world for our own IP, or we're using a product IP and helping them sell products. So as far as how we interoperate with independent producers, we more have our own projects that we have, and then we kind of reach out to people that can actually get them done for the crazy budgets that our clients are asking.
So what's crazy? I mean, are we talking tequila crazy, or are we talking just Cabernet crazy?
Negative dollars.
Negative dollars. You pay us for the right to produce
student film.
Yeah, student film.
It can get pretty wacky, to be honest, and with clients that you would not think would get that wacky. But
see, I want to know what wacky is, though. So are we talking about straitjackets here? Are we talking about $5 to do that 12-hour?
Well, a lot of times they're embarrassed to tell us how much money they have to spend on a non-traditional campaign.
So if they start scuffing their feet when they walk in the door, you know you're in trouble.
Yeah, they're apologizing.
No, I can help you out. Well, we're glad to have a meeting today. We got our TV media budget approved. It's a little less than we thought. We only have about $17 million. Now, about your web project, I'm really excited. I think we can get 50,000.
Yeah, 50,000 is usually like the kind of like safety number for them to be like, yeah, we got 50,000. We can do 50,000.
And does that 50,000 come out of your 15 million or 10 million?
Like we can do 8.
Oh, this is experiential.
That's the interest they earn by banking the 17 million per week.
Web, that's experimental. It's very new. It's very, somebody's gonna get fired.
This is very doom and gloom. It's getting better. I mean, I think people
definitely is getting better.
Yes.
People, as they're starting, I think the advertisers.
He has to say this because he's actually technically a network now.
I'm a suit, so.
He's a suit. He doesn't have his tie on, but he's a suit. So he came up in his Lamborghini.
No, I mean, I think it's a new media for advertisers. They're not, this whole idea of branded content is a relatively, I mean, to us it's been around for a while, but to a lot of people it's a relatively new idea. It's not really a commercial. It's online. There's this social media aspect connected to it that people are a little bit confused by. They want to be in social media, but they don't really understand what that means. They just know it sounds cool, and their kids have told them that sounds really cool, so they want to be around that. But I'm finding, we do. What happens with us is we make a big, advertisers make a buy on break, and then a portion of that buy goes towards a branded content project, which is some sort of it's most likely going to be a video or videos. They prefer video series that somehow incorporate the brand into the.
So they don't buy an ad; they're buying a piece of specific content that they wrap their brand around.
They buy when they buy Break, they buy the distribution that Break has, which is a nice advantage that we have, is that we have this incredible distribution. So we don't sort of have to go to YouTube to show your video. We can just show it on Break, and it's going to get a lot of eyeballs.
How many eyeballs do you guys get? I mean, just generally.
With the whole network of sites, it's 70 million, and just Break.com alone is 18 million a month.
Really?
Yeah.
18 million uniques?
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah, it's big. It's and it's funny because a lot of people haven't actually heard of Break, and yet if you're an 18 to 34-year-old guy, you've probably heard of it. Yeah.
Okay.
So what's happening, I'm finding now, is that brands are becoming more comfortable with what we can do with branded content. They get excited when a video goes viral in their eyes, and even 50,000 views in their eyes is better than what they were doing when they were just doing it on their own little website that didn't get any traffic and was getting like 700 views. So so they come back and then they spend a little bit more the next time around. So that is encouraging.
So it's kind of like crack, is that what you're saying?
No, I think, and for you guys out there, I mean, that's really what it matters, because you're either making a career change or seeing this as an angle that will get you sort of where you want to go, and over the next couple of years, more and more dollars will come this direction. So it's been it's taken me 10 years to kind of get to this place, but now a lot's going to happen in the next.
We're feeling the pioneer pains.
Yeah, but the vectors are pretty good though. So Jonathan, I just wanted to kind of, your background is in print. He used to be in the Laddie mag business with stuff and other publications.
Oh, the shame.
And so he's come by his suit naturally. But I'm just curious because, as you said, some of these folks out here are contemplating kind of a shift in what they do. You made a big shift, and you didn't really think about it, you said. But talk to me a little bit about the challenges of moving into this online space and what, from going from old media to this space. What did you face in trying to create content in a new world?
Well, I mean, it definitely is the sort of, what we're doing is, to me, the next generation of what I was doing in the late 90s, which was working at Stuff Magazine, Maxim Magazine. And this is, there's a lot more to it than just creating amazing content, although that is always, there's a much more immediate, obviously, online everything is immediate. I don't know how a Maxim Magazine can compete with something like Break does, because we put stories up immediately. If there's a pretty girl that you see in a movie, you see her the next day on a full story instead of having to wait 3 months for a feature. So the content's obviously more immediate, but there's also so much more that goes into what makes a story popular on the internet as opposed to print. I mean, there's this whole, I didn't even know what SEO was when I first started online, and that's such a major component of what we do and how we get stories. And SEO, for those who might not know, is search engine optimization, right? How do you get your story high up on Google's search pages, Yahoo's search pages? There's a social media strategy now that goes behind every story that we do, not every story, but many stories that we do, many big projects that we embark on. There is a whole sort of referral traffic coming from other sites. I mean, one of the things I realized early on is that your biggest competitors online are actually your friends too. You work together to trade links with each other. And we were very, at Maxim, like, we never talked to the guys at FHM. I mean, forget it. But Break, we talk to College Humor, we talk to our competitors, we trade links, we help each other out. So that's interesting.
Well, that is very interesting. So I would say that what I do, I'm a consultant for companies on social media, and I do think that it's interesting, the search engine optimization and the social media strategy that wraps around your content. It's sort of like the content about the content, and I think that that's another area where folks are still sort of going, huh? Because what you're doing, it's not going out and buying billboards on Sunset Boulevard anymore.
No.
But it is an opportunity to really supercharge the interest that people have in your content and hearing about it and letting them tell other people about it, so that your initial work gets multiplied and amplified by a bunch of folks you may not know very well or know at all. And I think that that's one of the areas where this is really different. And where what's nice about it, I think, for folks in the indie space is a great opportunity, if you can figure out how to harness this stuff, to do a lot with very, very little, very modest budgets. And then you go to these guys and say, look, we already did this. So anyway, I'll just throw that out there. I also wanted to talk about, and this is a shameless plug, our sponsor here is Hewlett-Packard and Intel. And I have to say that I've been a longtime fan of another large company in the computer space whose machine is next to me. But I was very impressed with the envy, and I do envy it, and I'm really hoping that somehow I win the damn thing. So I'll give them a plug for that and thank them for their work. But the bigger question, I think, is what are the kinds of tools that you need? I mean, what's the sort of investment that an indie producer out here who's thinking about making stuff, what are they going to kind of all in? What are they going to, what's their little checklist to actually do some stuff that's going to have adequate quality? What's the kind of back end that they need to get the thing out there? What are they going to need to do to make something and get it to some people? You guys want to take that on?
Sure. I mean, for us, it's pretty simple. A camera, HD quality, Final Cut Pro.
But it doesn't have to be like a, I don't
Doesn't
know,
have to be-
Panavision 70
I
millimeter.
mean, if you know how to use a flip camera and you're doing it in a good way, like we've shot music videos on flip cameras. It's really about the idea and about putting together in a way that communicates the idea in a good way. It's not about like super using the red camera for everything. It's like a lot of times we just throw that out and we're like, just grab a $1,000 camera and let's just go.
Little prosumer Canon Vixia is going to rock it out. Yeah.
I've seen shows that have been shot for, you've got a camera obviously, but have been shot for $0, and shows that have been shot for $1 million. and there's no rhyme or reason why they work except for they've told a good story.
But you really need to have good audio, right? I mean, I think that's
Yeah,
one of the things
audio.
I don't want to say
There's
it's
some
because
fundamentals.
It doesn't have to look
Good
that
sound.
fancy, but if you can't hear,
And
you've really lost
lighting
out.
might- yeah.
So spend some money on a good mic, all right? Make sure you got a good mic.
You know, what else is easy for folks out here and in some of the areas where, on the coast is there's such an access to, predator type talent,
And that's Predator,
producer,
P-R-E-D
editor,
I-T-O-R.
Yeah. And
It's that
as a
perfect
writer,
word from reality TV.
as a writer producer, there's so many film school folks that have got cameras or access to cameras for free, like Reds and anything else through the school, and they're looking. Their vision is they're going to be feature directors, as most film school students want to be.
You pay that kind of money for film school, you want to be a feature director.
Well, that's their
You wanna be Michael
track,
Bay.
right? And they want to shoot stuff, and all their friends want to be actors, and they're desperate to get things for their reels. And so you can get a credible amount of that kind of talent for almost nothing. But what they miss is the actual piece, the writing and the producing, the ability to pull it all together, to have some kind of budget and get it all the way through. And then in the end, because editing is so inexpensive today, if you can hit the beats on your piece, I mean, you'll get all the other stuff you need for very little. If you have that idea and it's written well, and you have the vision of where it is and you can produce to that, you can grab those other pieces, and that's no different than if you were doing network TV. It's the same scenario. Pull all the experts in and don't have to worry about what new filter came out today and this new lighting rig that was better with this many lumens.
That
and
gets in
don't
the
worry
way of a
about
great
that.
idea a lot of the time.
Yeah.
The big difference, though, is that that gets you through that's like steps A to B. And in this world, you not only have to be a producer, but you also have to be your own network exec. And that means you have to know how to market.
Everybody has
your
to be an
show.
asshole? Is that?
You'll never sell anything to the network.
But truly, you have to think about how you're going to launch your show, and launching a show is just as important as the show you make. And because it doesn't matter if you make the world's best show, if no one sees it, it's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah.
And there's literally not a lack of content out there. There's more content than any of us can watch in a lifetime. So it's all about how do you tap into an audience. And the shows that I've seen that have done an amazing job at that are shows that are built for an audience. Whether it's Joss Whedon with Dr. Horrible, who made a show for his fan club, literally, or it's Felicia Day, who made a show for
Joss
gamers.
Whedon.
For Joss Whedon, yeah. For World of Warcraft gamers. I mean, if you know what audience you're trying to reach, and you can make a show that's authentic to that community, they're going to help you to take that show to the next level. Because ultimately, that core audience is, it's like 100 people may see your video, 10 of them may actually be fans, and one of them will be a super fan, and that super fan is going to be the person that goes and recruits everybody else. And so you have to think about that one person. That's who you should be designing a show for.
I think that's a really good point. I mean, what I find at Break is that a lot, things that are huge on YouTube would be total flops on Break. I mean, Fred, somebody brought up Fred, that wouldn't do well on Break at all. That would drive our users absolutely crazy. And yet, a lot of the videos that are on Break would probably not really resonate with the Fred crowd, whatever that crowd may be.
Just think about that for a while.
So
Who looks
I think
at Fred?
it's a good. It's sort of like the same point I used to make when I was back in print with people who were starting off writing. Is that people would blindly pitch stories to every single magazine. They would write a story about how do I ways to deal with breaking up with my boyfriend, and they would pitch it to Esquire, Cosmo, People magazine. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was like they would just blindly, and I was like, what magazine? Know your audience. Know exactly what section of the magazine that story would actually run in. Just as opposed, where on the website are they even doing this kind of content? It really helps to kind of do a little research on where your audience is.
Yeah, I think that really leads to a really particular question. It seems to me that audience is everything. It doesn't have to be the biggest audience, but it has to be the right audience, and really
knowing that, and I think that that's probably more important than it's ever been. I mean, magazines are all about having a specific audience, right? TV has kind of been a little more scattershot over the years, but even they have been more niche-y as time has gone on and cable has come along. But here, everything is a niche. Everything is a specific little carve-out, and you've got to reach them with social media, you've got to reach them with the show, and you've got to really dial into who they are. So that being said, I mean, Break is males 18 to 34. Some of you guys have done stuff in other areas. Where are the opportunities, if you look out there beyond your own stuff, where are the opportunities for audiences that aren't getting properly served now? Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Any areas you go, wow, you know, I don't know, women 44 to 60 or something like that could be kind of hot with consumer packaged goods, for instance. I mean, Procter & Gamble might like those guys. I mean, anything like that? Is there anything like that come up?
If I knew,
Steve, why don't you take a shot?
I told you that.
I know moms are, you know.
Yeah, there's a big mom blogger, or not blogger, but Tweeter community out there that's gotten kind of controversial. But
as far as content, definitely, you know, moms are underserviced. They are rabid consumers of content online, and they, you know, there's been a couple shows like In the Motherhood that have done really well. And I can't even begin to tell you how many brands really want to spend money towards mothers online, young mothers specifically, like from the minivans to the CPG to everything. So if you got shows that, you know, if you're following the trends research-wise, and that like, okay, I've got a show about moms, In the Motherhood was a success, it got picked up by ABC, didn't do so great because of a myriad of reasons. But I would say that's one very, very huge opportunity that's being, you know, that's out there.
Then I would ask everyone in the room to raise your hand if you have a show, like a show that you absolutely love online that you watch.
Does anybody watch online? Okay.
So there's like 3 people. So that means that everyone in here is probably not being serviced appropriately online, and you probably all fit into a demographic, and there's probably a show
How many of
that
you guys
would
are,
appeal to you.
Yeah, how many of you guys are online in any significant way? I mean, besides you, Chris. I mean, I know you've got an internet terminal glommed to your ear, but the rest of you who are not Chris Marlowe, former Hollywood reporter, technology reporter, I'm just sort of curious, how many folks are online in a significant way, have a Facebook page, maybe Twitter yourselves or read that stuff? How many are kind of out there using the net, looking at YouTube, looking at other stuff? Okay. So it's interesting because most of you guys are out there in some reasonable way. Very few of you have something that you would watch on a regular basis. And I think your point is people like you aren't getting what they want, and that's a market. So how do you talk to the people like you that are interested in the stuff that you're interested in? And you don't have to spend a lot of money doing it. You just have to do it well and help them find you. And that's the key. And then you go to this man and say, give me an award. So, Bray, talk a little bit about, if you would, because you are the king of the streamies, what are you seeing out there across the land that is really well done stuff, and what is it that makes it work? I mean, I'd like to give these guys a few examples that they can go and check out that might help inspire them to do their own streamy-worthy project.
Totally. There's a huge swath of non-scripted content that's out there, and you'll find that pretty much everywhere on every video sharing site. And you know, most publishers have video content now, whether it's the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, or it's Break.com. Clearly, they all have video content. There's a tremendous amount of great independent shows that are being produced, and whether it's Electric Farm Entertainment, Brent Friedman and his team that are making shows like Valemont, or
how's that spelled?
Valemont, Valemont, or Woke Up Dead, which they brought in.
Which is what happens after you drink enough tequila.
Which has John Hader in it, the guy from Napoleon Dynamite, and has Kodak attached. Or it's Felicia Day with the Guild, or Zadi Diaz and Steve Wolf with Epic Foo. I mean, literally the list goes on and on and on in terms of the number of really great quality shows that are out there that have found an audience that are making money.
So they could go to what, the streamies.com?
You go to streamies.org.
.org.
Or if you go to TubeFilter News,
TubeFilter News.
TubeFilter.tv.
And you guys would give them some ideas about stuff.
Absolutely.
So the other guys, what I know you all have a hand in some pretty great stuff. As you look at it around the world, what are you seeing that really knocks your socks off that for once is not your own fabulous stuff?
That's not our stuff?
I know there's not much left. It's not as great as your stuff, but it's got to be something. It's not bad. Anything that kind of caught your eye? Are you just so busy looking at your own stuff and
I'm trying to
marveling?
go around what he said because The Guild is a show that I think is just absolutely genius.
That's Felicia Day's show.
Yeah.
The Guild.
It's super simple, and her first season was run and gun, no money. She produced it herself, shot in her apartment. Then got picked up for a second season. Sprint and MSN, I believe, came in and funded it.
Yeah, I think I saw her talk one time, and she was just like stunned by all of a sudden she had money. And
Yeah, I was speaking on a
like, what do
panel
you do
with
with
her,
it?
and she
Well,
was like, I think I'm going to get sponsored my second season.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
awesome. And it's because she really focused in on solving a business problem. In my mind, she saw a huge opportunity with this Warcraft crowd that was totally not being serviced in any way with original content, and she did it.
And World of Warcraft, for the few of you that probably have not seen it, it's a massively multiplayer online game that has, I think, 13 million subscribers who are paying $15 a month to live in another land. And Mr. T is their spokesman now with a mohawk ball that he throws at people in the game, and it turns their head into a mohawk.
And her use of the game, Twitter, viral videos outside of the show, just her use of the internet to promote the show is truly something to go and study, because I think it was definitely pioneering.
Well, what's interesting about that is a huge existing audience. It is an audience that is already tied into another medium, and has an ardent crew, but somehow they're able to pull their noses out of the game long enough to look at her 2-minute shows.
It helps that she's hot.
Well, yeah. It won't be a downside for you guys because you're all hot, but for me, it's a challenge. So,
And if you're not, find someone that is.
or find somebody. You can always hire somebody who's hot. They're laying around all over the place in
laying
Hollywood.
around.
They're looking for something to do besides go to the Sky Bar. So, kind of curious. I mean, I remember a few years ago, broadband was first kind of peeking its nose out there, and it was. It really wasn't very widely spread. And obviously the streamings are all about broadband. Most of you guys are kind of live in the broadband world. But let's take a little temperature check here. Is it ready for, I don't want to say ready for prime time because there is no prime time on the net, but that's what we got here. Is it really quite there? Do we have enough penetration among enough people to make it the place to go? What do you think?
Personally, I don't have cable or, all of my television's
It's
consumed.
illegal for you to have cable.
All of my, and I'm probably not a good example, but all of my television is consumed online. And honestly, most people I know are like that. That's obviously a bubble I live in, but that's the direction we're headed. It's all television. All content's going to be served, whether it's movies or TV or web TV. It's all going to be served over your broadband pipe.
It is prime time on the net. You watch primetime TV shows on the net.
Totally.
I mean, it's a monitor now. Your HD flat screen is not a television. It's a monitor, and it's connected to the internet. And it's just a matter of time before you're streaming all of your content like you browse. So primetime, huh? It's like, I don't even understand the concept. Of destination viewing, and it's like, huh, what?
Or appointment
I
viewing.
can't speak
So
tonight. I must get home to
2001,
watch the show.
Yeah.
It's at 7.
I don't even- it doesn't even-
8 o'clock.
I haven't
Not
thought
a lot
like
of
that.
appointments
Wow.
going on here unless they're with your dentist.
Of course,
Okay.
then it opens up all the other cans of worms because I can't remember the last time I watched a commercial.
Yeah.
And that's my business. So that's a big shift, right? It's look at how much TV I watch. Way more TV now because I only watch 44 minutes of content. It's amazing.
I will say that
also
is
amazingly
actually
scary, too.
Yeah, it's interesting because the research shows that we are watching more television than ever, 6+ hours a day or something like that. But we are seeing, in some ways, fewer ads than we've ever seen because people are time shifting on TiVo. They're watching Hulu. They're pirating it off of BitTorrent. They're watching YouTube. They're buying the DVD at Best Buy. They're streaming it off of Netflix. there's just not a whole lot of reason to watch that stuff. So the next question is, what about the rest of the world and creating content that might travel beyond our lovely country? Is that something you think about at all, or is it just about we want to make America?
Started a company based on that concept.
You started a company there?
100%. The whole idea of having a marketing format is having an entertainment format wrapped within all of the marketing channels that you can literally lift the skeleton idea of it and do this show. You know, you can launch it in Asia and bring it to America, do it in the UK, and regionalize and localize it much like you could in an entertainment format, but we just happen to make it relevant for global brands, so that a brand like a Pepsi could buy a show and do it around the world. And the show, it could be a broadband show, it could be a mobile show, it could be whatever the hell they want to do with it. The concept is a global concept.
Now, are the advertisers looking for the international play? Is that
100%?
100%.
Global brands need global plays.
Yeah, and also,
So what about Joe's Cleaner? Is he looking for the international reach?
I don't know who Joe is.
Okay. He's not calling you.
Yeah, I mean, Break has a London office. They have a Canadian now. They just opened an Australian.
Those are all English language, so you're not doing foreign.
Not
language.
yet. Although we just sold a bunch of clips to a Japanese network. One of the breaks we own a lot of it because we buy the clips that are on our homepage.
Right.
So we have a library of like 500 plus. I said more than that, but I don't remember exactly the number. But we own many, many, many funny UGC clips, and so we've used that to sort of leverage, either selling those to selling it to a Japanese network, creating a show that would play internationally. That's a clip show. Those are things that we've explored.
And I think if you look at the television model, traditionally there's a lot of money to be made. I used to finance docs, and we would cover the entire cost, the production budget, just by selling international rights in like 10 different territories, and then everything domestic was gravy. And the same thing, is the television world too. You take a entertainment property, and you sell it in 42 international territories, and those are really important revenue streams, and that's just as important online or in broadband as it is in the offline world. And actually, it sounds evil to say this. But geo-blocking can be your best friend. Being able to take a show and launch it.
Explain what geo-blocking is.
So geo-blocking is the idea that you could take content and you could block it via the IP address, which is like an identifier that's localized. So
the unique address that every internet
every computer, every phone has, and you could block it for certain countries. So you could take a show and you could launch it in the U.S. and no one else in the entire world could see it. And that means that you can then take that show and you could launch it in Australia 2 months later, and you can actually launch it, and no one hypothetically has seen it there. And then you could take it to Japan, and you could launch it in Japan.
It's not a perfect thing, obviously.
Yeah, clearly. There's ways around it, but being able to take that property and Steve said to take the core IP, the shell of it, and then reproduce it, either sell the format rights or adapt them, the format for a new region. It's really powerful, and you can build a lot of value out of a core idea that way.
Okay. Well, I'm told that A, we should open this up to questions about now, but B, I'm also told that somebody's about to have a very large emergency. They own a white Suburban with the license plate 4TQW, and it's about to be towed. Anybody care about that? Good.
Everyone's too embarrassed.
We'll all close our eyes, and the one person who owns that car can slink out. Let's take a few questions if anybody has one. I will repeat the question, I think, for the benefit of our non-studio audience. Why don't we start? You got your hand up fast, so let's start with you. Go ahead. Mom Lounge? Oh, Mom Lounge. Okay. I never knew a mom that lounged before. Kids are older, aren't they? She's 4. 4. Oof. Okay. Oh, good. God bless Daisy. She's an old chum.
I just remember on one of her recent posts that it's kind of encouraging almost to me a low quality production of webisodes.
Right.
And I guess when you talk about the transition from television to the internet, where television does have this high quality of sound, cameras on rigs, and obviously lighting and dedicated staff for each position, and the transition to online, I just really feel the longevity for webisodes would really be to almost embrace that quality.
So, to be clear, yeah, you are the queen of a show called Mom's Lounge, and you are wondering, based on, yes, folks are making stuff with very low production values, but perhaps that stuff would last longer and have more of a shelf life if they spent more money on production values. Is that that kind of covers it? So what do you guys think about it? Do production values matter? If online, can you get the money back that you put in by making it look sweet?
Again, it depends on your audience, and it depends where the video is being shown. I mean, I think sometimes when videos look too slick on break, the abusers kind of recoil from them because they're used to a certain quality of video, like a UGC quality of video, right? And if it looks too slick, it looks like maybe like it's got some advertiser or big bucks behind it. And people are very funny on the internet. They're a little bit suspicious of any kind of slickness. And not to say that we haven't done really high quality productions, in certain instances when it works for what we're trying to do. I mean, in your kind of, it might be more fun to be more homespun if it looks a little bit like you just made it like Wayne's World style in your but then again maybe you want a different look that's like a studio type of look.
It's an interesting question because I think authenticity matters so much on the web, and there's a to use the scientific term, there's a real big bullshit detector out there, and you're right. I mean, if it looks too slick, if it looks too corporate, if it looks too well done, there's a whole set of folks who are going to just say, I don't trust this.
But I think at the same time it's really important to know that if you're creating a show, you want to shoot it in the source quality so that you can later exploit it on a DVD or on television. So you can make it look however as crummy as you want it to. You can make it look as UGC as you want, but make sure that when you're going out there and you're capturing the content that you shoot it at the highest possible quality. And we're not talking about like don't have the camera shake. We're talking about shoot it at HD. Shoot it at full res so that you can take it and you can release it on DVD, or you can take it and you can sell it to television. And if you're making a series, think about making sure that you've captured at least 60 minutes of content, that your show is at least 60 minutes long. There's important benchmarks that you want to make if you want to take.
60 or 44?
I personally think 60. I think it's easier to sell if you're taking it to TV, selling hours worth of content. It's a little bit easier. But obviously, there's a lot of specific variables that go into that, but ultimately, know where that content's going to go. Like you said, you need to know where it's going to go, and then make sure you capture at that level or above.
Because I kind of feel with the mall market, like you mentioned, being like an underserved market, I just feel a lot of this data that's being released and sort of encouraging offers people who are newcomers, that it's being based on males that are 18 to 34.
So you're saying that women, moms have a little higher quality standards. But let's move on real quickly. You right there behind her.
I'm a nonfiction book author, very niche titles. They sell about 5,000 copies per year. So two-part question. One, how many eyeballs do you need? Can I monetize that huge number of people? And B, the publishers always want to have the traffic go to their website. Is that a mistake?
So two questions here. He's a nonfiction book author. He sells about 5,000 copies for each one of his books. Wants to know how much is enough to make money off of some content that would be based on your book. So how big an audience you need to make it back. Part of that, I suspect, is going to be how much are you spending. If you're Jim Cameron, you've got to sell a lot. You got to get a lot of eyeballs in there, brother. And then the second part was, I'm sorry. The publisher wants to maintain control. Well, some of that may be the deal you make, actually. I mean, publishers are trying to do whatever they can to stay afloat, like a lot of other traditional content creators. But part of that's the deal you make, and about what rights you continue to hold, I think. But let's talk a little bit about the audience here. I mean, if you're trying to do something based on a nonfiction book, and I don't actually know what you would shape it as, but what kinds of spending would you need to be able to do something with that online, and what kind of audience would you need to make that monetize? And that's not just for nonfiction books with 5,000 readers, because books never sell anything.
I mean, if you
Are all these books in the same, like,
Are they same?
give us some examples of the titles.
I mean, if you're making
Are they all
content, then
personal
you're gonna-
finance? So you have a whole series of so you're sort of an expert on personal finance. So
It's brand. That's your brand.
you are the brand.
Yeah, you're the brand. You don't need
You're
the
author,
publisher.
so you already have that. Your publisher. So you say to your publisher, "Listen, I'm going to do a 2-minute video for you." We're working on a deal with an author right now who has a new book coming out, and it comes out the end of December. It's on Amazon right now. Big pre-orders. Her first book was in 2005. This is second book. Great. Cut a video for the publisher. Give it to the publisher. Let the publisher put it on their site. Put it on Amazon. Put it anywhere else. Great. That just is more about you as the brand. But you still have yourname.com, and on there you can put all your other videos and attract a natural audience that already knows who you are because they recognize your name because they've read your book. And you can start putting content up there and start attracting that because you got the most important thing. You are one area that you talk about. It's accessible to everyone. And you've already got the credibility because you're published in that. Even though it's small, it's a start.
Yeah. So, well, let's do one in the back here. So he's asking about talking about the importance of a couple of really vital legal things. One is getting the video releases, which we all signed, by the way, before we came up here, because NATPE knows how to do that sort of thing. But two, not just releases from the people in there, but the music that you're using. So,
I personally think it's very important. Definitely get all of your content covered, whether it's the music or it's the on-screen releases. Just cover it all.
particularly if you have any ambition of having anybody else buy it from you or do anything with it.
It'll save major headaches later.
It's not your content if you don't own it.
So his point is that it might be you want to write your own stuff along with everything else, write your own music, but and that may be true. You.
So I have a web series called Party Girl Plus One, and my question is, should I be diluting my video through all these different share sites to watch it, or should I concentrate just on YouTube? And should I send my people to my website, or should I be sending them to my YouTube site, my channel, so I can increase those?
So two questions kind of here, really. She's got a site called, or she's got a series, a web series called Party Girl Plus One. Should she dilute it by making it Party Girl Plus 50? 50 websites across multiple websites, or keep it on YouTube? And then secondly, should she drive traffic or try to drive traffic if she decides to keep it in one place to the website for YouTube or her own website? What do you guys think, doctors?
It's really about what's your end game? Like, what are you hoping to do with this thing?
How
wants
often
to be
does
invited
your-
to more parties,
How
I
often
think,
do you publish a new webisode?
We're doing every 2 weeks. We'll have 4 updates.
And is this relatively new, so you don't have an audience yet? So a few subscribers, a few webisodes, it's brand new. Yeah, go everywhere you can.
Totally.
Because you need eyeballs.
See,
And you can recut it. You can do 1 minutes. You can do teasers. You can
pilot
do,
out of it.
And this so and so. And then ... to be continued. Visit da-da-da. I mean, you got to get it out there. And once you have the eyeballs, then you start to go, I'm just going to do it here. I'm going to cut a distribution deal that way, because then you have a fan base. But right now, you just got to get people to know about it. Anything you can do to get people to discover it and find it.
I actually disagree, and I don't mean to be combative, but I will be a little bit.
Makes a panel good. That makes a panel good. Now we're getting something.
Do it, Brady.
We're going to have a cage match afterward.
Come on. Do it. All right.
I think hybrid distribution is dead, and I think it doesn't work. I think when you fragment your audience, you're actually destroying value. I think you should aggregate your audience around a couple of specific channels. It's fine to have a couple, but going out to 50 different sites, you're going to show, like each of those sites is maybe going to collect a couple hundred views, on an individual episode if you're doing well.
So Van's point is, starting out, I mean, is it possible that at different points in the lifespan of the title that maybe you go wide to scoop up everybody you can to get known, and then you pull back and concentrate once you've got that?
Every distribution outlet is going to have its own audience, right? So whether it's Break or it's YouTube or it's Vimeo, those sites naturally attract a specific demographic. So take your show to the place that your audience is. So if I have a really artsy show that appeals to maybe a Williamsburg crowd, I'll probably take it to Vimeo. If I have something like Fred, I'll probably take it to YouTube. If it's geared more towards a Break audience, I would take it to Break. Find where your audience lives and take your show there. And by doing them that service, you're going to find that the chatter and the views that they're aggregating on that site is going to be more meaningful, I think, in the long run, than it is if you just shoot it everywhere. I think the shotgun approach, while it can work if you're just trying to create, a presence in all these sites, I think it's a valuable suggestion. Take it and then maybe one video on every site, but always direct it back to kind of a home. Have a home for your show.
So you have a teaser on multiple sites going back to your sort of core
I think
site.
we are kind of saying the same thing. I mean, I agree with what he said. What I was talking about is the marketing of the show.
Totally.
And
by recutting it and
all kinds of
little
things.
bits and
1-minute
teasers that
version, this
lead
or
back
that,
to the core
the funniest part of it.
And so the other part she asked, though, was YouTube or her home site. When you send it back somewhere, where do you send it back to?
Are you paying for the show yourself? When do you hope to recoup your money that you put into it?
2040?
What is literally, why are you doing this?
July 2011 as we withdraw troops.
The ultimate goal for me would be to have it up and developed into a 30-minute series.
Into a television series. So I'd be super focused on what network you want to pitch it to and start looking at their demographics. I mean, it's all about, for us, it's all about solving problems, and I think it's exactly what Brady and these guys are saying. It's like Vimeo is going to have a problem solved by having a piece of content that preaches what their brand is about. So if they have an artistic show that matches up with their brand, just like a network, like USA has a brand filter called Characters Welcome, they make all of their programming choices based upon it going through the Characters Welcome. So every show on that network is through that brand filter. So start getting more aligned with what channels do you want to sell your show to, and start focusing on that. That would be my recommendation.
So I unfortunately have been told that I have to end the questions without...
Come on.
I wanted to do one more question. I could do one... Oh, good.
One more.
This is what I want to do. I want to see who really wants me
But
to
you
have
can tune
them.
into our web series.
Who really, 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 really wants their questions. So you got to get up and wave and show me you really care. No, I want... All right, this guy wins. Over here.
Marketing.
This is what it's like being on the internet. Who's yelling?
Okay. You got me a little scared, though. You talk about we have to keep it reality-based kind of stuff, not too polished. Same token, you're saying you don't watch television anymore. You watch it all on the net, but not with ads. I'm actually in that group. How do we get the revenue stream if we're not doing ads? If people are now using this way to not have ads and the higher quality.
I love watching ads.
I
mean, don't get me wrong. If you give me a show and I love this show, I will watch it.
He wants to know how we make money off this damn stuff. And Brady's going to answer that question, but I really want Steve to answer this question because that's what he does.
I do too, actually.
That's what he does.
I personally hate ads, and because I don't ever watch them, and I come from advertising, and even when I was in advertising, I just was like, why the hell are we doing this? This sucks, and no one is watching. No one is watching this shit. So honestly, it's a fantastic question.
How do you feel, Steve?
The client
I'm just glad he didn't
loves
cut
it.
your wrist back then, man.
Tequila.
And I tell my clients that, and they respect that, and they like that. So to answer your question, it is going to be working with distribution outlets, creating original, customized content that does not. What's that?
I'm sorry, what? Speak up.
The
product
it doesn't have
Sometimes
to be
not.
about the product. It doesn't have to show the car. It doesn't have to. But if you create where we're generating revenue, and it's going to be a lot more revenue in 2010, is we're creating what, like I said, is these formats. So it's TV spots or print ads or whatever they need to spend their money on. Because let's face it, these guys need to spend marketing dollars on traditional advertising. They have money. If they don't spend it, they will fail. What we're trying to do is create entertainment properties around traditional advertising services that ultimately, hopefully, at the end of the day, will turn new revenue streams for them. So we got brought on to do a branded I don't know, it was like an advertisement for Burn Notice, the show. We created an 8-week episodic series where they had an on-air integration with Saab. So we said, okay, well, why don't we actually show ROI in the integration they're doing on air with it, and we'll create story arcs around the Saab using the show's characters and have people be able to like get in the car and drive it. They paid a lot of money for that, and it became the #1.
It was the biggest Saab story in town, right?
I mean, a lot of money. Well, honestly, they paid USA Network a lot of money, who's got their own business problem. We didn't get a lot of money, but there was a new revenue stream that was created by taking, an on-air integration brand and creating a new opportunity for them to show ROI, and actually generated 25,000, unique calling dealers from the experience. It was an 8-week experience. So if you could start thinking about how to help brands sell products and still create great stories, you're going to get people giving you money. It's not easy, but that's the honest to goodness truth is the way I see it.
So there's money out there. It is not falling off trees, but it is showing up, and brand owners are starting to get it, and they're starting to open their wallets up a little bit to pay for content that's appropriate for their brand, and that's where the opportunities are if you can be smart about it.
And GM was spending, advertising dollars on air to promote the web series, which I think will be the future.
All right. So with that, I think we have to wrap it up. Jordan is threatening me, and I'm a very delicate man. Thank you very much. Thank you to the panel. Thank you to HP. And to the Tequila. So make sure and grab some Tequila and honor our sponsor.
First of all, I want to thank our panelists and our moderator for a terrific discussion. And for those of you who didn't get your questions answered, these guys are going to hang out, or now they are, and mingle. And so
they just
please,
towed my white car, so I can't.
Right, exactly. He's here forever. But all right, before we start the cocktail, the next session of the cocktails, we will pull the winner of the HP Envy.
Right. So we're going to choose the winner for the HP Envy laptop, and then we'll have another winner as well for the HP Dream screen.
I put my
You're
card
going to select.
Yeah.
Well, let me put my card in. I didn't put my card in.
Okay.
They told me to. They was so hard.
I'm looking for the person's name. The card says Mystica, touched by an angel. You are the winner. Is that your name, Angel Mystica? Carl Kaufman.
Carl Kaufman.
Congratulations. And you can come over here and see this gentleman at the end. All right.
He's now a source of envy for all of us.
This is also for the HP Envy, the HP Dream screen, which you can see over here. Wow. Go ahead. And this is to, and there's a picture as well. We should look and see. Patrick Clark. Yay, there you go. Patrick. All right. Lastly, thank you very, very much. In addition to the questions that these people can take, there's also people here from NATPE all around the room. If you guys would raise your hands, you can also ask questions about the conference and the market coming up as well. Thank you, and good evening.
Is that